First Tips question today, sponsored by Trantolo and Trantolo, your personal injury law firm. Let their family help your family. The law offices of Trantolo and Trantolo. They proudly serve their communities, Hartford, Waterbury, Bridgeport, New Haven, Torrington, and now in the New York area, Riverhead and Melville. That's around Long Island. Get a hold of the law offices of Trantolo and Trantolo. Dial 844-999-9999.
That's all me, I call it.
Oh, God. Which owner is going to have a harder time watching the game tonight, Jerry Jones or the Mara family?
I don't know if the Mara family knows the game's on or who's playing in the game. I know Jerry does know. I think Jerry is not going to watch this game, but checking his phone every 5 minutes on this game. His offensive coordinator 2 years ago is for the Eagles. Yep. His defensive coordinator left last year is now the
head coach of the Commanders,
hottest coach in the league. We're at the Commanders. Everybody's been bitching at him about not paying a running back or putting another running back. Saquon could have been that answer. He's going to have to watch that go down. Plus, I remember him really wanting to draft Jalen Hurts about 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't know if his son talked him out of it or what, but he's got to be kicking himself on not pulling the trigger on that one. I think Jerry Jones, Mara's, they don't care. They're totally, washing their hands of the Saquon deal, and they're moving forward. I think Jerry is trying not to watch this game as best as possible, but still going to watch this game with tears in his eyes.
I think it hurts Jerry more to see what could have been. I think when you look at Dan Quinn and what he's done to turn this team around so quickly, and a lot of it is disciplinary stuff and making sure these guys pay attention to details. I thought Dan Dockage was great talking about the Indiana football. That's what a football coach's job is, delegating authority, making sure the other 20 coaches do what they're supposed to do, make sure that everybody's got their ducks in a line. I think that, we keep talking about Sirianni and the Eagles. He continues to win, even though they're trying to fire the guy. I mean, he's more under the microscope, but Jerry had that guy and he let him go. That's got to make him sick to his stomach. First of all, the Cowboys are so dysfunctional now. They're starting to eat each other. And now you've got Micah Parsons wanting to get rid of Mike McCarthy. And eventually that's going to happen, but if these guys aren't going to execute for you, you've got to change they always say the voice, and they lost the voice in the locker room. You need to change voice. I don't believe in that. I believe you've already established your identity and set the tone where these guys walk through that door and they know what to expect. What's expected of them. I think Mike McCarthy's always been a buddy with these guys. He's a bro. You can't be friends. It's like Aaron Boone and the Yankees. You can't be their friend. You have to be their boss. You have to be the head coach. I think Dan Quinn, Dan Campbell, some of these guys walk through that door like, listen, it's my way or the highway. I remember I was still on the West Coast when Pete Carroll took over the Seahawks. He got rid of almost the entire roster within a couple of years. He was like, listen, you don't fit in with me. I'm not going to, have people that fit in with you. And I think that's what happened with Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy. They were like, hey, we're just going to get this guy, get that guy. We're going to pay them. Listen, if you're not winning with them, you've got to get rid of them. And Jerry Jones doesn't have the heart to fire people. That's his downfall. So when he's looking at Dan Quinn, he's going to be like, had I fired Mike McCarthy, made him the head coach, maybe things would be better in Dallas.
Yeah, but then he would have to let Dan Quinn do it. And I think that's his biggest thing is like Mike McCarthy will do whatever he says. And that to me is the biggest rift in the locker room is that the players know that the coach is going to sell them out way first and foremost before it is winning football games. Like it's just when you have a manager that is so friends with the boss, you do not trust that manager 100%. on what he's telling you. And I feel that more than I feel anything else with the resentment that the Cowboy players may have with Mike McCarthy being their head coach. Is like, I don't know, man, you're going to go up and do whatever the owner says anyway. So
right. I felt that Dan Quinn stayed 2 years too long. He had other opportunities, and I think this was the last straw last year that he probably went in there in the last year's meetings and said, listen, if I'm not going to be the head coach, I'm leaving. And they probably said, okay, go. And that's how stupid this is. I mean, it goes back to Jimmy Johnson. Jerry Jones still argues with Jimmy Johnson over the Herschel Walker trade. who was responsible for it. Dude, it doesn't matter at this point. You won 3 Super Bowls. And, well, you haven't been back to the Super Bowl since you got rid of Jimmy Johnson. This is how stupid Jerry Jones is. You've got to come to the realization that you're part of the problem. You need to put football people in charge of the game. You sit up in the box, be Jerry Jones. You're a billionaire. That's great. But the one thing Robert Kraft, he did for 20 years, he let Bill Belichick run that organization where he wanted to, how he wanted to, and they won, 6 Super Bowls in 8 or 9 tries? I mean, that's what you're trying to do, and the smart owners get out of the way. Marr family, I think they're pretty much behind the scenes. But again, they're a lot like Jerry Jones. They make bad decisions based on loyalty. That's not what this is about. It's not about being friends. I think Jason Garrett's a great guy. I thought he was a terrible head coach. That's 2 totally separate things. This is a football team. You got to run it like a football team. You can't be buddies with the owner either. If you come head to head with the owner, sometimes that's a good thing.
Exactly.
It shows your players you're willing to fight for the players, and I think you nailed it. Mike McCarthy's going to fight for Jerry Jones's way. He's not going to fight for the players' way. They finally have figured that out. Now Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, they're going to do what they can behind the scenes to get rid of them.
I love listening to people trying to dissect why the Washington Commanders are so good all of a sudden. They start with Jaden Daniels. I'm like, keep going. Oh, well, then Dan Quinn, keep going. No Daniel Snyder anymore.
No, that guy was
it is a huge difference when you have an ownership group that actually cares about winning the football than just putting on the circus to make the money.
Well, Snyder wanted to be a pro. He used to be friends with Robert Griffin III.
He's everybody's
They used to
bro.
drive around in the limo together. Dude, that's crazy. That's just crazy.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yep.
How fast that franchise has turned around.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Good ownership. Well, and I'll tell you the guy that's smart owner is Magic Johnson. Dodgers,
Good one to
Commanders. Good one to have. Too bad it didn't work out with the Lakers. Hot Stove coming up next.